first, but he still gets him. Would have been a double play. That's beautiful right there.
I grew up watching a lot of Reds baseball. Dave Concepcion. Oh, okay. Excuse me.
All right, basketball trainer Chris Brickley hosting top players in a summer pickup game. This is the one-handed putback slam by North Carolina's Cole Anthony.
One of the top recruits coming in. Look at that.
Oh, that's Greg Anthony's son. The announcer, Greg Anthony, former NBA player. That's his son. He was one of the top guards in high school basketball this year. Decided to go to North Carolina. Good for him.
All right, to the pitch. Chelsea's Christian Pulisic putting it through the defender's legs for the score. His first goal with his new club.
Now, this is America's big World Cup hope. Pulisic continuing to improve, going to be playing against extraordinary competition over in the EPL. That is a great introductory goal for him. How about that?
For us having, as an American, in the European League, that's an accomplishment.
Right.
All right, more from this game. Chelsea's Pedro scoring a goal with a volley off his back heel.
Come on, stop. Now, you live for one of this. He can play soccer for 30 years, never do better than this.
That's awesome.
Oh, my goodness. Man, shades of Didier Drogba for Chelsea flying into the box. Drogba probably do it with his head. Pedro doing it with his back heel. Gorgeous.
The LA Rams will be the first to tell you they took the Super Bowl loss hard last year. Nick patting himself on the back. We're mentioning something about soccer. What some would call a putrid performance against New England. Todd Gurley struggled. Jared Goff threw a crucial interception. And Sean McVay has been telling anyone who'll listen that he's to blame for the loss, saying that the reality is, quote, I didn't give us a chance really to have offensive production. Nick, will the Rams bounce back after losing the Super Bowl and losing it the way they did?
Well, if they do, I think Sean McVay's self-awareness here will be a huge part of it. I thought this entire interview was really interesting, where Sean McVay is asked, when did you realize you had not prepared properly? And he said, about halfway through the game. During the game, while I was coaching, while the Patriots were attacking us with things they had not put on. Failure is the greatest teacher, but that is not always how it works. For a lot of people, especially young people who've been incredibly successful early, when they fail for the first time, sometimes the reaction is, well, got unlucky, my running back was hurt, ran into an all-time great. If, Goff they had the one touchdown that was just missed, and then on the next play, it's intercepted if they make that throw. Instead, he says, no. Even if they had won that game, he would have realized he was out-coached. He was out-prepared, outmaneuvered.
He wasn't prepared for what the Patriots had.
And it wasn't for a lack of trying. It wasn't like the Rams were taking the week off. It was because the Patriots, with their 8 Super Bowl trips prior to this one, they had the experience to know what to do, how to prepare, and how to catch the Rams off guard. Now, how can they take those lessons into this year? I think that will be helpful. I don't know how much it will matter if Todd Gurley's knee is not healthy, if Jared Goff is not able to show he can be an elite-level quarterback with or without Cooper Kupp, because once Cooper Kupp went away, Jared Goff's production went in the tank, and then when Todd Gurley stopped being an elite performer, then really their offense as a whole went in the tank. So I have some trepidation about the Rams as a whole. But for Sean McVay, a guy who's 24-8 in his 2 years coaching, 2 years in the playoffs, second year he makes it all the way to the Super Bowl, to have that level of self-awareness, say, man, I just got beat by a better man on the other side of the field, I think is great for the Rams moving forward.
From a strategy standpoint in the Super Bowl, and not just because they're 8 Super Bowl appearances, it's because the wealth of information that Belichick has. Belichick goes through not only his days as a head coach, but he goes back to the 80s when he was defensive coordinator on the Giants. And he'll go through NFL history and pick out a team that was like the Rams and didn't look at it that way. He didn't look at it in the last 30 years, what kind of team has he faced that was like our team? What did they do to take them away? Like the greatest show on turf. What did they do? And typically what they do is they crowd the line of scrimmage. They're going to play bump and run on the outside because they believe their DBs are better than yours. They're not going to let the quarterback have a clean look. They're going to blitz you off the outsides. So McVay, how they make their living? 3 receivers, 1 tight end. They did not change it up. Kyle Van Noy sat right here and told us after the Super Bowl, we had 3 game plans and we never got to plan B. Why? Because they did not adjust to plan number A. So at least at halftime, with the extended amount of time that you have, you would think he would look at his personnel groupings, look at the defense he was getting, and change those personnel up. See, to me, I don't like the fact that he's only predominantly a 3-receiver team with 1 running back. It becomes easy to book you. 2 of our 3 were better than any of the receivers that they have. So,
of course.
So we didn't stay in that personnel all the time, and we were a lot better than them. Randy Moss and myself being Hall of Famers. So when you face a guy like Belichick, you have to have a changeup. You have to go heavy personnel. I'm not going to go 3 wide receivers. I'm going to go 3 tight ends. I'm going to go more with the fullback. I thought the personnel they should have used was 2 tight ends, split the formation so you can have a wide receiver and tight end on both sides. They can't blitz you. So you don't have a weak side to your formation, so you can pick up, you can change the protections, and that's not something that Sean McVay did, and he should admit it, because it was fairly obvious that he did not make the type of adjustments, and he does not know how to coach the Rams with an injured Todd Gurley. Even using Todd Gurley as a decoy at sometimes, motion him out, have a linebacker run outside the box to be able to give you some different looks. And I mean, I'm not surprised that he admitted to it, because to me, watching the game, it was fairly obvious.
Nick, so last year we spent the whole season talking about Sean McVay as the wonderkind in offensive coaches, this you know, hotshot guru who was going to take this offense out, and wait till you see what it could do. Do you think the Super Bowl loss perhaps translates into a loss of luster a little bit heading into this season? Are we still as high on the Rams as we were last year because of what you saw in the Super Bowl?
Well, I don't think, at least for me, I don't hold against a second-year head coach that all they did was get to the Super Bowl. But what I will tell you is, if luster aside, all of a sudden the whole league's got a book on them. All of a sudden, the whole league, now maybe they don't have the corners of the Patriots, they don't have the coaches of the Patriots, but they will look at exactly what the Patriots did in that Super Bowl and say, how can we use our personnel to do something similar? How can we force the Rams to adjust to what we are doing? Because Chris's point that the Rams ran the same formation, the same personnel more than any team in the league, and it was an element of, we're going to do what we do and no one can stop us. And that was correct until they got stopped. And then what we learned was, it wasn't just that they weren't adjusting during the year because they didn't have to. They might have not been adjusting because they couldn't. And so when you mentioned that the Patriots had A, B, and C, according to Kyle Van Noy, the Patriots didn't have to go to plan B, but I have a lot of faith they could have. That if the Rams would have been ready, if the Rams would have on the first possession driven down the field and scored a touchdown, the Patriots would have changed it up. The Rams had drive after drive to show them that, okay, we need to change, and they didn't show the ability to do that.
No, that's what Sean McVay, as a second-year coach, getting his team, managing that roster with all the different personalities, tremendous accomplishment in his second year. He's still one of the brightest minds that we have in the NFL. But it's like one of those spelling bees. You see those kids go out there, they're amazing. And then all of a sudden, they have a word come up, and it might look easy to you, and they get embarrassed. And this is what the best that we have in football over the last 100 years is Bill Belichick. And he schooled the kid in Super Bowl 53. That was last year, 53, Super Bowl 53 last year. He schooled them. He took them to school. And with the elongated halftime, I would expect Sean McVay to come up with something. There was 2 weeks to prepare for the game, and then you basically have 30 minutes at halftime to put in another game plan, and they didn't do that.
You know what word gets me? Calendar. I never know if it's C-A-L-A or calendar. That's the word.
C-A-L-E-N.
Well, now I know.
There you go, Jenna.
There you go.
That's also why you weren't in the spelling bee.
Coming up. You don't know that. Okay, I wasn't. Will Baker to Odell be the best quarterback wide receiver connection in the NFL? That's next on First Things First. You probably were.
You know what other words get, Jenna?
What?
Her name?
That's not.
Days of the week.
Okay, that's not true.
First things first.
Nothing gets a family's full attention like my freshly prepared chicken.